sends his spies in to eyeball the territory. Take a look, see what's going on, see how good this land is. I believe that the reason Moses wanted the people to go was that they were going to come back and tell the people, this is it. I really think the only reason Moses wanted the people to go was so the people would be able to come back, the spies would come back and say, oh, you should see that land. There's milk, there's honey, there's grapes, there's this, there's that. See, they did all of that. In fact, when we read the Bible, it says they came back and they had a bunch of grapes that it had 2 men to carry one bunch of grapes. And they came back and said, oh, this is the fruit of the land that we're going to go. Truly, it is a land that is flowing with milk and honey. Truly, this is the land that God spoke to us about. But then something went terribly wrong. And the believers turned into unbelievers. Numbers chapter 13. In modern terms, you would say they had a train wreck. Numbers chapter 13, I want to start reading at verse 23. And they came into the brook of Eshcol. They cut down from thence a branch with 1 cluster of grapes. They bare it between 2 upon a staff, and they brought of the pomegranates and of the figs. The place was called the brook Eshcol because of the cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from thence. And they returned from searching of the land after 40 days. And they went and they came to Moses and to Aaron, to all the congregation of the children of Israel, and to the wilderness of Paran, to Kadesh. And they brought back word unto them and unto all the congregation, and they showed them the fruit of the land. They told them, they said, we came into a land whither thou sentest us. Surely it flowed with milk and honey, and this is the fruit of it. Now, if they would have shut up right there, they would have been in great shape. If they would have quit right then, those people would have been saying, let me at it. If they would have quit the report at that point, the nation of Israel would have stampeded across those borders, and they would have taken over that land, and they would have lived happily ever after. Well, not me. That's the fairy tale version. But they didn't quit. They added another word, nevertheless. In modern day English, we would say, but. You know how most times the stuff you say after the but you probably shouldn't say? Have you ever noticed that yourself? If you would quit at the but, you'd be all right. Oh, you know, that Dieter, he's such a nice guy. He's always willing to help. He's always working in the church. Every time you need something, you can count on Dieter. But what do you think is coming next? But I wish we could have 2 of him so that we could get twice. You don't hear that, do you? No. Nobody ever says that after the but.
No, that would be an app.
After the but, you should probably just shut up. When you hear the word but coming out of your mouth, stop it right there. And you'll be an awful lot better off. The nation of Israel did exactly this. Here they are at the promised land. The spies had come back and said, this is the land and it's flowing with milk and honey. This is the fruit of it. But, nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, we saw the children of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, the Hittites and the Jebusites. And the... Huh? Didn't God already tell them these people were living there? Back in Exodus chapter 3, verse 8. He already said this, the Jebusites, the Perizzites, the Amalekites, they all live over there. He told them that, and yet they come back and say, this is such a wonderful land, the fruit is so good, the land is so good, but all these guys are living there. No shock. They knew that when they left. These believers had seen the power of God. These were the people that had come through the wilderness. They had been guided by a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. They had been fed with manna. They had seen the flesh when they wanted the flesh. They saw the birds come. They saw the miracles of the water turning from the bitter water turning sweet. They saw the Red Sea parting. They saw the Egyptians drowning. These people had seen the power of God displayed. They knew that God was working on their behalf. They knew that whatever situation had come up against them, there wasn't anything that could stop them. And now they come to the promised land and they say, you know, this is the land that God spoke to us. We know it is because the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Jebusites and the whoever else is all living over there, just like God said. So this must be the land that we've come to. However, we can't go in and take it. So then Caleb stilled the people before Moses. He said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. Who's the believer here? But the men that went up with him said, we are not able to go up against this people, for they're stronger than we are. And they brought up an evil report. An evil report doesn't mean they cursed the land. All it means is they did not agree with God.
That's right.
And God called that an evil report. How often do we bring up an evil report when God has given us a good one? Let's not even stop there. And the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof. And how come the Jebusites are living there? If this land eats up the inhabitants of it, why are the Jebusites, the Amalekites, the Perizzites, the Hittites, the Hivites, the whoever else living there? Always they manage to escape somehow. It is a land that eats up the inhabitants thereof, all the people that we saw in it. All the people that we saw in it are men of a great stature. They're liars. Because if there's a group of men living there by themselves, they're not getting much further. But see, they were focusing on the warriors. They were focusing on the evil. They were focusing on how bad it was. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which came up with giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. When spies go to spy out a land, what is the last thing they do? Show themselves. They hide. They sneak around. They try to see what it's like without being seen. How do they know what this nation was seeing? This nation might have drawn back and fear fallen to their faces and said, it's all yours. I heard a number of years ago a testimony of a missionary that was working in Korea. He was in the village at night and he'd been busy preaching the gospel, and there was a lot of unrest, a lot of people that wanted him out of there. They felt he was bringing a false god and this and that. And one night while he's in the village, he's going to sleep, and he hears that the villagers have roused up and they're all getting ready. And he knows what it means. They're going to come and kill him. So he just prayed. He said, well, Father, I just commit myself into your hands. My outcome is your choice. You've sent me here to preach, and I don't think I'm done preaching yet. So they could hear them coming, and they looked out, and they could see the torches and stuff, and the men were coming with their machetes and everything else, and they were getting ready to clean up a missionary, except all of a sudden they went back into their cut, and all of a sudden they just heard it stop, and everything went dead silent. The next day they started asking, what happened? What happened? And he says, well, who were those men that you had standing around that hut? He said, we didn't have any men there. What are you talking about? Well, there was these big men that were like 7 feet tall, and they're all dressed in white. They didn't want to attack them. Wise choice. Smart heathens. Who knows if that would have been what would have happened to the Israelites if they walked in and, all of a sudden God releases an army of angels to go in and they go, oh, okay, we got to go pack up Gertrude, we're leaving. It's happened. So it wouldn't have been the only time when the nations just left because they heard noises. But